So just initially, what we want to look at is the different kinds of folds that fall across any kind of a form. And her costume is going to have a lot to do with it. But we're going to see that there are different kinds of folds that are working with these cylinders. We can start with the cylinders. I'll start with this side. This is going to be more of like a zigzag type of a fold. It's going to come towards us, and we're going to see that it's going to go back and forth around. And these are basically the types of folds that are going to be bunched up around a cylinder. Okay. Then they're going to kind of modify, if you will, when the fabric gets a little bit broader out here, and they're going to turn into more of a spiral kind of a thing, because they're going to fold up, and they're going to go into a point of origin up here. Okay, where these that zigzag, they come around the form here. These are going to be generated from a certain point, and we're going to see where those go. So these are two different kinds of folds from her upper arm down to her lower arm. Okay, so those are two different kinds, and we're going to look at those. So as we draw from the model today, we're going to look at these different kinds of folds. Again, we're going to be looking at the folds that come across and have a particular origin and wrap across. Those might be spiral folds that twist around a form like this and then start to wrap, something like this, and then start to turn into more of a zigzag kind of a situation. This one still has a spiral because it's still coming around. It's getting pulled from the outside in like this, okay? And then tightens up into these little zigzags down in the bottom here. So anything that you have, any kind of folds, there's going to be transitions that we're going to have. Now your knees and elbows and stuff, they pull from possibly from your hip or from a high part up on here. In her costume, she has kind of a vest element here, and a full skirt that comes out of that. So there's folds that get gathered. So there's a lot of gathering around the top up here, okay? And from the gathering and the looseness of this, it's going to come down and go something like this. Wide like this. So it's going to pull across the top like this, and then it's going to go into falling around where her leg is, and we're going to get another bit of a fold coming in here, and this is going to be like around her knee, and these kinds of folds are going to be like elbow and knee folds that can kind of tuck in here sometimes like this and back, depending on the fullness of the fabric. Okay, they're going to. So this is going to be her leg that comes up here, and then comes into here. So they're going to wrap around and around on the inside here like this. Okay. These pull from above, up underneath her collar here. These are like pipe folds. They'll pull from this one central line. So they're all going to come around like this. And they're all going to pull into this area here. Again, pulling down from underneath. Just like these go out, these will pull down like that. Out to the outside there. Same thing here. These are going to pull down from this one point up in here. So that's why there's going to be more of these like pipe folds, because they're pulling from that one point. Okay. So these are the like three different kinds of folds that are all occurring within this one figure, and it depends on how they're sitting and so on, that you're going to get these types of movement in here. Go up a little bit higher here too. Actually, let me go on to this one. Now, in this case, we have this this young angel, and being kind of an allegory, a lot of times the type of folds and fabric, they'd be these floating fabrics that kind of defy gravity, okay? And these shapes would, create these larger rhythms. Okay? They might have an origin, but they would really, really kind of defy gravity as they came around. So these are these flowing types of folds. And like I said, you find these mostly in more allegorical paintings where they have angels and characters that are flying or floating or defying gravity in one way or another. Whereas you can see on the other character over here, from his hip down, this fabric is very literal, and it goes right around his leg here. It's a very deliberate kind of folds. And these might go over like this and then create a shadow under here. I'll go into shadow like this. As they sit on the ground, they're just going to go kind of flat. These are the kind of folds that you might see on material that's just sitting on the ground. Okay, that's a little different kind of a fold too, because it doesn't follow a dynamic form like you see in here, like these zigzags or the these spiral folds, or even the pipe folds. Okay, so we have these kind of floating shapes that kind of defy gravity, and then strong wrapping shapes that go around this, where you're getting the, some strong definition in there, just really countering the fact that these folds up here, go back on, wrapping around this form and being very solid. These seem very rigid, very solid, in contrast to the angel over here. And we get a couple of these kind of elbow folds in here, and then quickly turns to spiral folds as it comes towards you, like this, around the tube of his arm. Okay, again, spiral fold wrapping around from his shoulder. Like that. Okay. All right. I'm going to take the figure from the second from the right, and I'll draw him right here. Now he's got a long robe. Okay, he's shaking this gentleman's hand over here, and he's got this long robe that's hanging down like this. And it's hanging from 2 points, okay? up from his back up here and wrapping around like this. So it kind of has this, it's almost like a diaper fold, if you will. This kind of a fold would be more like a diaper fold because it comes from 2 points. It comes from there and over there, okay? When it gets out from this 1 point here, it's going to be more of a pipe fold. You see? That's going to be the difference there. It's going to go like this. This one is going to have a little back and forth. It's going to go up like this. And he's going to really play it out all the way down here. Okay? So this is more like a diaper fold, like this. Okay? So that diaper fold is going to be from 2 points. Okay? It pulls from 2 points, there and there. The pipe fold from 1 point. Okay, this kind of a zigzag goes from around a cylinder, right? We have more pipe folds in here and here that pull from 1 point. And then we have these spiral curves, or spiral folds, that are also wrap around a cylinder. Okay? We have these kind of floating folds that you'll see in a lot of artists' work in that are referring to these allegorical paintings or paintings of angels and stuff. That's the real difference in the type of folds that they put in those characters. And then the more literal folds that we'll see in here, kind of these knee folds that might go in here. And that's going to be the result of the bending of 2 cylinders, or bending of a cylinder, or the joining of those. They're going to be pulling from back here. And then there's going to be a broad fold in here somewhere, and then pulling back from that same area here. And depending if they're tighter pants or slacks, it's going to pull and hold to the back of the leg here and go forward that way. So it's going to want to pull out because this material came from this, and we just put a big crease in it there. So this is how that might work. So of course, when you pull this down, it's this part up here that's going to want to resist and pull against it. So that's going to create the force. That's why this goes out on this side. Okay? So look for these different types of folds in our drawings today. And as we go through, I'll draw them as well and kind of call them out. So if you learn to identify the type of fold, then it's going to make it a lot easier. You're going to understand the characteristics of that fold, the type of fold, understand the force of where it's getting pulled from, and then also you won't be copying so much exactly, noodling what that contour exactly is. You're going to be seeing the direction and the sweep of that, of that fold. So, maybe along the shoulder here, as you go on, maybe something's going to get pulled out along here like this. You're going to understand how that works, so you can make sure that is staying, you're staying true to that, rather than worry about going around the outside and doing all of this and making folds that feel a little bit more awkward. Okay? If you understand the type of fold and where the forces are, that actually where those folds originate from or how they work, well, then it's going to be easier to understand the nature and the character of those folds. On these spiral folds in my drawing, the valleys, the ridges, well, this one would be a ridge in here, and the valley would sit behind here. This could be a ridge here and a ridge here. The valley could be behind here. So you could drop right here. One twists around the cylinder. The spiral twists around the cylinder. Let me show you here. The spiral, it might get pulled from this area and it's going to pull around this way. Okay? And there'll be a kind of a general force that will pull from here, in here, and it'll pull back up. The zigzag is going to go, it's really more around, like a bunching that will go around the cylinder. So where this one goes more along the length of it, this one goes more around it this way. How do you draw the folds, whether you draw the peaks or the valleys, and how do you keep them from getting confusing? I'll usually go from the origin and see what's pulling, and I'll probably start with the ridges. I'll define where the ridges are. And the valley is just kind of the negative space between the ridges. Right. So it kind of goes hand in hand. So I'm always looking at the positive and negative contrast. And you're going to see that, things that go back and forth like this, there's some that are going to be, maybe this is deeper, and your ridge is narrower in here. There might be some where your ridge might be really full, and have go all the way to here. You see? And then picked up like this on a ridge over here, and then this might be like this. Okay?